What is up, my friends? How are we? It is Wednesday evening, and you are very welcome along to tonight's late night agenda. Always a pleasure to be here with you. Lots to get through. We're going to be speaking about the Wirtz situation, of course. We're going to be talking about some comments from Peter Moore around maybe when Trent actually told the manager that he was leaving. A little bit on Jarell Kwanzaa as well, as he's continuously linked with a move away. Leverkusen interested in him, although they would have to smash their transfer record to sign him. We're going to give you, well, a little hint at a potential move for Anthony Gordon as well. And don't shoot the messenger on this one, by the way. It's not me that's reporting this. And also, we're going to have a bit more around the price tag of Darwin Nunez and where he may end up. So, as always, ladies and gentlemen, we want to know your thoughts, so feel free to throw it into the comment section, and we appreciate you all being here. Right, let's get cracking. Where have we got to start? This one. Hey Craig, do you remember Liverpool won, Carlisle won in the 2015 League Cup under Rodgers? Do you know what? I don't. I probably have blocked out some of those times, my man. Certainly some of those results under Roy Hodgson have been blocked out of the old memory, Gary. But thankfully, those type of days and hopefully results are very far behind us. So look, I guess we got to discuss the journalistic elephant in the room, and I'm not talking about me in this regard. So look, it seems to be that there is a difference of opinion around the Wirtz here we go. Some people, namely on the English side, are saying, no deal yet, very close, it will happen, but no deal yet. And then we have Fabrizio Romano and some other European journalists who are saying, very much deal done, and here we go. And I guess we should try to figure out who we believe or not. Now, what I would say is, whilst David Ornstein is absolutely a fantastic journalist, I don't really have anything bad to say about the man whatsoever. One thing that I look at in these situations is, where's the information coming from? And how important is it for them to do things in a particular order? What do I mean by that? Well, let's look at the English side of this and where the information comes from. The club. And the club, of course, are going to want to let journalists know what they want journalists to know. Whereas the likes of Fabrizio Romano, he doesn't need to pander to a club. He doesn't need to wait for the club's official timelines. He wants and has built his whole bracket off being first out there. He's also gone pretty bold about one comment to say that there was an email sent from Leverkusen to Liverpool to say that they will agree on the outline of the deal. They will agree on the numbers in the package. So if that was wrong, I would very much imagine that he'd be getting called out on that, and that the clubs involved would take probably some joy in taking him down a peg or two. But they haven't. And why might that be? So again, respect to everybody involved in this process. The English journalists, well, like I've said many times, anybody in and around our football club requires the access to the football club and has to keep on the club's good side, so can't break ranks. So where am I with this one? Firmly in the Fabrizio Romano camp on it, and I'm not always in that camp, by the way. I've certainly been critical of him in the past, but I think on this one, he's absolutely spot on. And we're also just arguing over semantics now. Has it been agreed fully? Here we go. Either way, we're going to know in a day or two when the man's in for his medical. Reports in Germany from Kicker, Bild and others have said that this deal has been agreed. There's also been reports that he's going to be in for his medical. Some people believe, by the way, he's already landed for his medical. I haven't got a clue on that one. But either way, like we've said all the way through, depending on which side of this you're on, I hope you understand at this point that the deal is not going to fall apart. It is going to happen. He is going to be a Liverpool player. But like I said many times, I'm not going to tell you how to feel, which one to believe or not. That last night was more than enough for me, based off the information I had to hand, based off the reports coming out of the European-based journalists. There's one spoofer in all of this, by the way, and that is Sasha Tavalieri. He's been absolutely just latching on to stuff. He said that Wirtz would be on a plane in hours. No sign of that. He said previously a deal was agreed at 150 million. No sign of that. And I'm talking 3, 4, 5 days ago. So him, I would say, certainly I wouldn't be using him as a source. Put it that way. Don't know the man personally, but following his work, I think he gets more wrong than he gets right around Liverpool. So I wouldn't be relying on that one. Ornstein got Elliott to Liverpool wrong, said man like Spence. Look, journalists get stuff wrong all the time. It's normal. It's the football business, you know. I would never expect anyone to have a 100% success rate on transfers. But, again, the group that I'm talking about, I've nicknamed, and I don't include Ornstein in this. I've got to make this very clear because I do respect David Ornstein greatly. But the ones I'm talking about are the ones that I'd like to christen the Dweeb Squad. You know the ones I'm talking about. Those who think they're better than other Liverpool fans and like to look down their noses at the rest of us. I've nicknamed them the Dweeb Squad, but I think you know who I'm talking about. Craig, finally able to show you and the channel some love, said David Sweet. David, thank you. Very kind of you, mate. £50 super chat is epic. But please don't ever feel there's ever any need to show us some love, my man. You being here, watching, being with us each night, that is more than enough for me, bro. I always appreciate your support, and thank you. I do love the pink colour, though, of the super chat. It looks brilliant. And thank you so much, David. That's really kind of you, mate. Appreciate you. Your top 5 Liverpool players this season. Salah, do you want them in order? Because I'll struggle in order, but I'll give you the 5. Salah, Van Dijk, Gravenberch, Diaz, McAllister. They'd probably be the 5 off the top of my head that I go with. Mohamed, first time there is confusion on a here we go. I don't even think there's confusion about it. I think some people think he went a bit quickly with it because they hadn't got the official word from the clubs. But let me read out what Romano posted, or Romano said, and we'll go from there. So let me just work through a few of these for you, because again, if you're in our WhatsApp channel, thank you for joining up, by the way. We have been putting some stuff in there. We're working on a new website as well that we gave a sneak peek to the people in the WhatsApp channel of, and thank you to those that had a look. Right, let's have a little look at some of the stuff around Mr. Romano and what he said about this one. So bear with me 1 second. Right, where are we at? Right, let's go here. Yeah, so Fabrizio Romano said this, and again, if he was wrong on this, it would be very easy to call him out on it if you were inside this deal. He said there was an email from Bayer Leverkusen last night to confirm to Liverpool their intention to accept the final terms proposed. Now we wait for the formal steps, exchange of documents, approved, signed, medical test, then it will be official. Went on to say, internally, Liverpool believe that they won a crazy race by signing Florian Wirtz. There may be a lot of clubs denying their strong interest now, but the reality is that there were many clubs in the race. And again, this is probably, well, at least I'm taking this as Manchester City trying to save face. Manchester City saying, oh, the conditions of the deal were too expensive for us. Yeah, of course it was, lads. Definitely wasn't that the player told you he wanted to come to Anfield. It was definitely the financial conditions. Yeah, definitely. On top of that, we've got a bit on Jarell Quansah today as well. Romano also posted to say, keep an eye on Quansah because there's interest from the Bundesliga and clubs in England, so I believe there's a chance for him to go in this transfer window. Now, regular viewers of the channel will know I've had that feeling for quite a while as well. I've always felt this season that Arne Slot just hasn't quite got the trust of Jarell Quansah, and if the right offer comes in, that he'd move on. Now, will that be Leverkusen? Well, again, Fabrizio Romano said Leverkusen have contacted Liverpool to explore the possibility of signing Jarell Quansah. On top of that, there's another club in the mix as well here, or another player in the mix Leverkusen are looking at, sorry. They're also looking at the guy from, what's his name? The guy from Sevilla. Where's his name? The guy, what's his name? That we were linked with quite a while, the centre-back from Sevilla. Sorry, his name escapes me at the minute. But Jarell Quansah is being looked at by them, but it would be a record transfer for them. They'd have to smash their own transfer record to sign Quansah, and I don't know if they'll have the money to do it. Loic Bade, was that the guy I'm trying to think of? He's the other one, apparently, that Leverkusen are looking at to replace Jonathan Tah. Have you got your Premier League trophy for next season? It's still in Liverpool, in all honesty, mate. It's in one of our audience's house, actually. Thankfully, they're keeping hold of it for me. But yeah, the trophy got stranded in Liverpool when we couldn't do the second show. Just joined the WhatsApp earlier. Just wanting to know who's your dream striker for Liverpool to sign. Love the content, keep it up. Alvarez would be my dream. I don't think it's possible in this window, but Julian Alvarez would be my dream. Alexander Isak would be awesome. I'm intrigued by the whole Voltmada stuff. I don't know if there's that to it, and like I've said, I'm not going to sit here and tell you who we're targeting the number 9 position, because truth is I don't know. Same with centre back. I don't know who the targets are there, but you know, if I had a preference list, Isak and Alvarez would be head and shoulders above anybody else. Right, let's get cracking. Mark said Van de Ven from Spurs could compete with Canade. Van de Ven's brilliant. I love Mickey Van de Ven, but you've got to worry about his injury record. He had quite a few spells out with Spurs. I said at the time, I felt like he was one that we missed out on. His pace is awesome as well, but I don't think Spurs are going to be open to selling him now. They're in Champions League football as well. They'll probably have Thomas Frank coming in as their new coach. But good shout, Mark. He's a really good centre back, and injuries aside, I think he would have been a great, astute piece of business. If we threw in Darwin in a swap deal, what do you think would be a reasonable price for Julian Alvarez? Also, which two centre backs would be realistic for us? A price? Oh God, they probably want close to 100 million euro. Which is I think about 10 million more than they paid, if my memory's right. It just looks as if they have no interest in selling him. So I would say right now, I wouldn't even envision a deal for Julian Alvarez to be possible. I'm trying to be realistic about it. I love him, but I'm not going to sit here and get my hopes up about it because, in a weird way, I think Isak is more achievable for Liverpool. And even at that, I have my doubts on it, but the name's not going away in the chat. Where have we got? Hey Craig, your former press friend was on as well, putting out the flames on the story. I'm officially done with them. So look, like I've said, there are some journalists that can't break ranks because their whole status is based off having access from the club. So, without trying to be disrespectful, I've been calling out the credibility of some of the journalists that cover our club for a very, very long time because they do what they're told. So, I'm not surprised one bit to hear that the gentleman in question is dampening the flames down, but also he's irrelevant at this point. When's the last time a story was broken? When's the last time a critical bit of information? And actually, I swear we weren't signing Frimpong as well. But, did we sign Frimpong? So, like I said, I'll leave the Dweeb squad to it. But, I'm going to keep calling out what I think needs to be called out from them because, again, if you're saying what you want the club to hear you saying, I don't want to hear from you because I've no credibility for you left for me. I just think these guys exist in a world where they have to pander to what the club want because if they don't, they're gone. It's as simple as that. So that's why the likes of myself and some others have the freedom we have to say how we feel because I don't have to tickle John's balls. I don't have to pray for access to go to games to stay relevant. So that's my take on it. Honest as always. And I'm fed up with them. I'm fed up of the Dweeb squad looking down their nose at the rest of us and Liverpool fans and belittling them and saying we're all championship managers and we all want this, that and the other. No, they're just not very nice people at the end of the day and they think they're better than the rest. So fuck them. Leave them to it. I look forward to the next letter threatening me with the police as well from the Dweeb squad, but it is what it is. Do you think Gordon is good enough to play for us? So, this was a topic of discussion in the Discord group earlier on, and let's tie this in with the story from a gentleman by the name of Geordie Josh posted something. Now, I don't know this lad one bit, but LFC Transfer Room posted in to say that Geordie Josh suggested that Liverpool could make a move for Anthony Gordon. And on top of that, there was a like on the post from Curtis Jones. So I don't know if this is going to be revisited or not. But Jones out there liking posts about him potentially coming to Liverpool if we sell Diaz. So anyway, sorry, to get back to your question, my friend, would I say he's good enough for Liverpool? I think he hasn't fulfilled his full potential yet. I think Diaz is probably a better player than Anthony Gordon. But if we have to move on and if Diaz does leave, we do have to find a replacement. And I think there's a lot of plus points in Anthony Gordon. Homegrown, loves the club. I wouldn't mind some of those cheap free kicks being won for us in and around the penalty area as well or on the edge of the box. And also, I like his pace. But I understand anybody who has doubts about him. I'm not saying he'd be my first choice. I'd prefer Nico Williams as an example if we were to lose Diaz. But I think ultimately, to battle with Cody Gakpo, yes, I think he'd be good enough, but not quite at the levels he's capable of yet. Right, let's keep going. And by the way, mods, feel free, because I've had it up to here with some of these clowns in the chat coming in who I've never seen before to just belittle me, you, and everybody else. So if there's any assholes in the chat, ban them. Just get rid of them. They're not welcome in our community, because if you're coming in to show disrespect to me, to our community, or to other people, you're not wanted here. It's as simple as that. So I've had enough of them over the last few days, mods, so feel free to just boot them out. If they don't show respect to other people in the chat, no interest in them. Right, let's go. Marcus. I think FSG are more willing to spend big when Edwards pushes for a deal, since his track record shows they get value for money and the relationship between FSG and Edwards seems good. Thoughts? Well, there's certainly been some change of tact in the transfer market from Liverpool. Whether that's FSG looking at the market and saying, right, transfer market's changed a little bit, maybe we need to move with the times. Maybe it was Jurgen who didn't really want to overspend money. Maybe it is that trust that you've said in Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes as well. Or maybe they just feel like now is the time that Liverpool need to kick on and make some of these statement signings. So whatever it is and whatever the reason has been, Marcus, I'm happy as a fan to see it happen. And much like I promised, I will give credit where it's due when these things happen. Wirtz going on, Craig. How's it going? Wirtz going on, Craig. How's it going? Any Isak news? Nope. Nothing for me on any striker or centre-back. I don't have that on it. I'm still waiting to try and find out when Kerkez will be getting over the line, because that deal will be the next one. And then I really do think you're going to see us look to some sales after that before we go back into the market again. The position that concerns me the most is centre-back. Not because of anything other than there's too many loose ends there. So what's going to happen with Kwanzaa? I still think we need a centre-back before that. Is Canada going to sign a new deal? If not, what's the time frame going to be before we have to make a decision on letting him go for free or selling him? There's so many things like that that I'm interested to see how they unfold in the second half of this window, or excuse me, in this summer, sorry. I say second half, like the first 10 days or half a window. You get what I mean? Nope. Might you go to a game next season? I'll certainly reconsider it, because I've said in the last few months that I've no interest in going, well, these owners are running the club the way they are. But yeah, Brian's coming over to go to a game, LFC USA, and I might accompany him to a game. So yeah, probably will get to one. But yeah, I think I probably will, in all honesty. I have a feeling they're wanting to get a big amount of money and go for another player the likes of Alvarez or Isak, said Benjamin. So I think that as well. Let me just ask that to the chat, actually, for our first poll of the night. Let's go. So, do you think we will see a massive striker signing? So, do you think we'll see a massive striker signing in this window? Because I honestly haven't got a clue what to expect in this situation with what's going on up top. The Isak noises just aren't going away, despite me feeling and others feeling like there's no hope whatsoever at Newcastle will sell. The noises are that Liverpool are still hanging, and Liverpool feel like, much like Florian Wirtz, the player might angle and say he wants to come to Liverpool Football Club. So we'll put that poll up. Let me just get back into the chat for some more comments. I've got more news to go through, by the way, so don't be going anywhere. I think Mark Gay will interest Liverpool this summer, said Sam Clark. I mean, he'd interest a lot of Premier League clubs. 1 year to go on his Palace deal. Potentially going to move. I'd also heard the Vincent Kompany and Bayern Munich were having a little look at him, so that might be worth keeping an eye on as well. I don't know about him at Liverpool, though. I just don't think aerially he's good enough. And that is an important factor in our defence. If you look at Virgil, you look at Kwanzaa, you look at Canada, they're big units and they're very good aerially. I think that's the one thing you would say would probably count against Mark A. Where else have we got? Okay, this way. Newcastle need more players for Champions League. They need the dough for Isak. I think they have a bit of PSR wiggle room, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think they're in as big an issue as they were previously. I just feel like if they were losing a player in this window, they'd be more open to it being Anthony Gordon than Isak. But again, I don't have the information for strikers, so other people would be far better sourced than me to tell you who's potentially available as a striker. I haven't got a clue. I know who I'd like, but I don't know who's really realistic. Jack said, Craig, mate, I'd love to see Gordon play for us. The chat have been split on this when we've asked about it. Certainly, I think it's fair to say, Jack, that when I talk to the chat about it, they're certainly not overly enthusiastic about Gordon. And look, I get it. I'm not sitting here and saying he's the best in the world or anything like it. But, if you look at the possibility of, 1, would the player come? Yes. 2, do Liverpool like him? Yes. 3, he's homegrown. And it just seems sensible as an option. But if I was doing the deal, I'd love to get Nico Williams. Like I've said, I think he's incredible. Heard rumours of Vlahovic from Juve and that we're speaking with them. Thoughts? Would underwhelm me, to be honest with you, if we were looking at Vlahovic. But then again, numbers could be important in this one. And also, Jayden Dan's future are important here. So, do we maybe settle if we can't get the number 1 target? I'm not sure on that. But it does look like Darwin's heading out the door. And if he's heading out the door, you would imagine that Liverpool are going to have to bring in some form of a striker. This report here, by the way, from Ben Jacobs said that Liverpool have a 60 million price tag valuation for Darwin Nunez. So again, keep an eye on that situation. It does look like he's heading towards the exit door, Darwin Nunez. No surprise to anybody, but Ben Jacobs said Darwin Nunez expected to leave Liverpool, but no cut price sale. Liverpool have a £60 million valuation informed by a rejected Al Nassr bid in January and data particularly looking at Nunez numbers as a starter. Atletico Madrid keen, Saudi interest remains. I would also say Napoli's name is still in the mix there for Darwin from what I'm reading. What about Murillo? Again, more than a decent shout, but I don't know what the targets are at centre back. I've always been honest with you. If I know something, I say it. If I don't know something, I'm not afraid to tell you I don't know. But as an option, Murillo certainly is an intriguing one. If memory serves me right, Mohammed, and again the chat can help with this, I think he signed an extension at Forest, but Forest were probably thinking and hoping they were going to get Champions League football, and now they're in the Conference League. So yeah, I don't know if Murillo's still an option or not, but we can do a poll on it. If you want to put some centre-back choices in a few minutes, we can certainly run through it. And also, it's not an accident that Jeremy Frimpong posted on his Instagram story a Frimpong cross with Wirtz goal for Leverkusen. I think that's no accident. Again, we know this deal's being done. So anybody at this point who still thinks there's any chance Wirtz isn't ended up in the Liverpool shirt, I think they're being intentionally negative at this point. And to be fair to the Dweeb squad and some others, they aren't saying that isn't going to happen. So even the likes of David Ornstein, I did watch back pages tonight after the stream last night, and you could see he seemed to be a little caught off guard with it. He was respectful to Romano in the way he dealt with it. But again, you could clearly hear him say the 2 clubs involved in it haven't said that the deal has been agreed. So again, waiting for that approval, if you want to go with something rather than maybe a different source. Or, Romano doesn't have to keep on clubs' good sides these days because that's not what his brand's built off. His brand's built off being first. And let's wait and see. But like I said, last night was a great experience, and I was so happy to be on with everyone. And I've slept like a baby last night, and I'm feeling much, much better about the world today because pressure. It was a pressure-filled few days because everybody was getting a little bit tetchy. Darren said Joyce and Ornstein are just LFC puppets. Now, hand on heart, I don't know Paul Joyce. I've never met the man, never spoken with him. Always respected his work, to be fair. He's an Everton fan as well, though, if I'm not mistaken. And David Ornstein, he's just a very professional journalist. And so I think this comes down to also the differences in the style of how football is covered. So you've got people who are prim proper journalists, let's say, like David Ornstein, Paul Joyce, James Pearce of this world, who are very matter of fact about things. And then you've got people, let's say, like the Fabrizio Romanos, who aren't really tied to a publication or one club or one source. And then you go down to fan channels, and the landscape's changing. Some people still believe and want to wait for the old legacy type media to okay these deals. And look, like I've always said, whatever works for you. If you're needing Sky Sports to tell you, no problem, hang on for Sky Sports. If you're needing Ornstein to tell you, again, no problem, hang on there. For me, the here we go is more than enough on this one because, again, looking at how this story's unfolded, I feel like the English media have been lagging a little bit behind in all aspects of this story. Sometimes they're ahead, sometimes on the money, but for this one, I've always felt like they were a little bit day two behind on some of the information. Benjamin said, I think Isak already said he wants to come, and Atletico say they're all in for keeping Alvarez, but I think they would sell, just a feeling. So people I've spoken to and people in our Discord group who've mentioned this to me as well feel like Alvarez probably doesn't want to come back to the UK weather-wise and a few other things in his personal life. I believe that, weren't happy with being over in England with the weather and stuff being different, obviously, to in Spain. So I don't think we're likely to see Julian Alvarez. I'd love him, but, if you would have to probably be a change of heart in certain factors. With regards to Isak, it's interesting. I would have felt if Newcastle didn't get Champions League football, I think maybe I would have felt a little bit more confident on Liverpool being able to turn his head. But I don't know if Isak really does want to join the project and really, feels that he wants to push on and have a chance to win major trophies. And Newcastle have won a trophy, and Newcastle are going in the right direction. Great club. Eddie Howe's done really well there. But, a player's career is short, and if the project's still 3-4 years away from getting to where Newcastle really wanted to be, maybe Isak feels like Liverpool is a team for the here and now where he can fulfill his professional ambitions. But again, I'm just kind of speculating because I don't know. Stevie Boy said there's rumours going around that Liverpool are seriously considering Isak. This really could happen. Again, you're right. Those links haven't gone away. And, many people have been posting to say Liverpool feel that they can get Isak. Again, where was this one yesterday from Matt Thielen that I went through? One sec. This one. That said Liverpool are still interested in a move for Alexander Isak and believe the player's desire to join, much like Wirtz, could be pivotal. And if a player really does want to join the club or really does want to move, no club also wants to keep around an unhappy player. So it might come down, Stevie Boy, to quite how outspoken Isak is behind the scenes about wanting to move. But at this point, mate, I'd love it to happen. But I'm certainly not expecting it at this moment. But again, it would be incredible if it did. Has Romano ever been wrong? Yes, everybody's been wrong, mate. I've been wrong many times. Not that I'm trying to claim myself as a journalist. Every journalist gets stuff wrong. It's normal, but I'm trying to think of specific examples that he's gotten wrong. There was a here we go for somebody that didn't come to fruition. And it was fairly recent. Trying to think back, maybe the chat can help out. Connor certainly would be able to tell me because he brought it up recently, but I just can't think off the tip of my tongue who exactly it is that he got wrong. Let's see if the chat have it on this one. Who was it? There was somebody recently that he gave a here we go to that didn't happen. Just can't think off the top of my head who it is, sorry. But look, again, football moves quickly, and what could be real at one point could change very quickly. So, I'll never disrespect a journalist for getting something wrong. Everybody gets stuff wrong. It's just a matter of, is it a common occurrence for them to be getting stuff wrong? And with Fabrizio, I think we'll all agree he's certainly more right than wrong. Still trying to think of who that is, though. No, it wasn't Nabil Fekir. It was nothing to do with Liverpool. Was it Elise, perhaps? Might have been Elise. I seen somebody in the chat mention that. But yeah, again, off the top of my head, I can't remember exactly who it is. Right, let's keep going. He'll wear number 12, said Schmungus. I have a suspicion about this. Will he just have Trent on the back of his shirt, or do you think he's going to have Alexander-Arnold? Because if you look at the way Madrid announced the Club World Cup squad, it was just Trent written down. It wasn't Alexander-Arnold or anything. This one from Daryl said, "Evening, Craig. I think we sign Ekitike. Much love." Certainly, Hugo Ekitike is taking his time about making a decision on his future. Not my words. I think it was it Plettenberg that said this about Ekitike? Bear with me. Yeah, so this report here from Bild said there is an agreement between both parties that Ekitike's camp will reach out to Frankfurt as soon as a verbal agreement with a potential new club is imminent. He remains open to a move to Chelsea. However, he appears just as keen, if not more so, on a switch to Liverpool. Liverpool are finalising the mega deal for Florian Wirtz and are trying to sell Darwin Nunez. After that, they could become serious about Ekitike. And it does look like Ekitike is hedging his bets at the minute and kind of waiting to see how this develops, which is the smart play. If I was representing him, that's exactly what I'd be telling him to do. Don't be committing to one club or another. Don't be out there saying you'd like to move to this team or that team. Look at all your options. If Liverpool become available, I think we win the race if Liverpool move for him. Because why else are you waiting? You know, if you want Chelsea and it's only Chelsea, well, you're going to push for Chelsea. So the fact he's waiting makes me think he'd love to come and play at Liverpool, but we'll have to sell Darwin Nunez first. On this, actually, while Trent came up in the conversation, I was reading something earlier on. It was on the Echo, and it was about our former CEO, Peter Moore. And he was speaking about, well, the club, the transfer business, and a few things. But this caught my eye. So he said, it was pretty clear. Trent said to Arna at the start of the season that I'm out of here, but I'm going to give you everything now because he's such a good kid. What do I know? But Arna probably said, I need you to bring Conor Bradley along because this kid is going to be 30, 35 games a season in your position. Virgil and Mo, I think we knew what was going on, so we're nonplussed about the drama. But that comment about thinking Trent said to Arna at the start of the season that he's off certainly caught my attention. Sorry, yes. Where was I at? This one. What's your opinion on Konstantinos Koulirakis? Is that the youngster from Olympiacos that Brighton are currently trying to sign? I think he's due for a medical. 18 years of age. Will be a record transfer deal, I think, for both a Greek player and for Brighton, if I'm not mistaken. Don't know much about him. He's had one breakthrough season, I think, with Olympiacos, if this is the same guy. Want to say he scored about 12 goals or something like that. But look, if Brighton are paying attention to a youngster like that, we should probably all be paying attention to them because they've been getting some really good bits of business done over the past few years. Again, though, apologies if that isn't the same lad. I just think it might be. Would I take a punt on Joe Felix if cheap? Absolutely not. No chance. No way in hell, mate. That is one way of looking at a career and how to mismanage it and how to potentially maximize profit from your career, but certainly make some very questionable decisions on where you're going. No, definitely wouldn't. Would you raid either of Burnley centre-backs for squad depth? No, I don't want squad depth. The days of us as fans now sitting back talking about squad depth should be over. We need somebody to come in and feel like they can compete with Canade for the starting berth. So no squad depth, top-notch only. We're getting spoiled here, right? Because that's what we want. We want Liverpool to be making signings that will clearly improve the team and clearly improve the overall balance of the squad. So, yeah, the days of makeshifts and auxiliary centre-backs and, you know, not good enough. No, we need to make sure we get only names that are going to improve us, and that's what I'm certainly hoping for in the market. I want young Rio to come through, said Dave Andrews. Yeah, so do I. It's a Wolfsburg centre-back, is it? Oh, I haven't got a clue who he is then, mate. Sorry. I've no idea who he is then if it wasn't the youngster I was talking about from Olympiacos. Sorry, my man. Yeah. Sorry. I'm reading some comments here as well, getting a bit distracted. Young Rio, I think. I'm excited to see him, Dave, in pre-season. I think he's going to get some opportunities in pre-season, and it'll be fun watching him because apparently the club have even held back some training ground footage of him let's say, turning players inside out on the training ground. Benjamin said, my understanding, Ornstein is more FSG, which makes sense, playing the poker face card for negotiations. Paul Joyce is definitely Edwards. Orn gets visibly annoyed at Romano. Well, I can tell you from speaking with journalists previously, there isn't a lot of love for Romano in the journalist world from the old legacy media, shall we say, which I kind of understand as well, because he is, come in and just kind of exploded onto the scene and not giving a fuck about, if he's early, if he's annoying the club. And I kind of respect it in some ways, to be honest with you. You could see, if you look at it, and somebody sent me an email about this last night, if you look at his body language on back pages tonight, when he was talking about it, there is some signs there that he was certainly uncomfortable speaking about the situation, and certainly felt like he was very careful in what he was saying, not to offend anybody and to not be committal or too committed either to it. So, look, for me, like I said, the here we go is good enough. I want to see him in for the medical, of course, as well, because that will put to bed any doubts on it. But either way, lads, we're getting Florian Wirtz. And it's just a matter of when, at this point, when we get to celebrate it. Well, when we get to get the official word from the club that we can celebrate it. Jack Quinn said, Florian Tuesday, get in, whoop whoop. Boudial will sign for us, 19-year-old centre-back. Thank you for that, Matthew Walls. King 7 said, what is Ekitike's biggest strength as a forward? I don't know much about him. As I said, I haven't really watched Hugo Ekitike, so I've always said when people said, is he good enough or not? I don't know. Some people feel like he has immense potential and could be a huge star. Others feel like he's been overhyped and the price tag's gone too high. I just don't think at €100 million there's value. I don't think he's a €100 million striker at the minute. But again, how much of this potential are you buying into? Liz said, Craig does his absolute best to read every super chat, and remember, it can't be, please be kind and patient. Yeah, I'll get through them all. Absolutely. I just have to remember that I have stories to get through. I have to make sure the people, that are in the chat are getting interacted with as well. But of course, Liz, I certainly appreciate everybody's support and do my best to get through as many comments as I can. Where's that one that you're talking about that I missed? Tanya. Sorry, Tanya, I did miss this one. My sincere apologies. Massive Darwin fan, but enough is enough. Get sold. And thank you for being 18 months with us, Tanya. You're an incredible part of our community, and we really do appreciate it. And apologies, my friend, that I missed that initially. Yeah, it's look, I wanted him to succeed so badly, Tanya. I was, if you look at the early days of Darwin at the club, I was fully on board with it, buying into it, and wanting the young lad to do well, because he's easy to like at times. But at this point, I think the people who are saying one more season, give him, I think they're just being foolish. And look, it's nice that people want him to do well. You never want to shout down your fellow fans for wanting to get behind another red, but I think it's clear at this point it's just not going to work. So like you, I do think time to move on and allow him to go rebuild his career somewhere that maybe will work out better for him. And certainly for us, we need to have somebody a bit more prolific through the centre. Mark said, did Isak sign a new contract at Newcastle? Not yet, no. He hasn't signed it. They are negotiating. I think he refused the first offer, but there has been no new deal signed. So let's check in on our poll. And then I've got a bit of a game to play that we were playing in Discord today. So I'm going to look for your comments on this one. Right, where are we? So, do you think we make another... do you see us making do you think we will see a massive striker signing? So far, we've had, 2,500. Let's call it a day on that one. So, 66% of you guys and girls do think we will see a massive striker signing. And I love it. I love the optimism. Please do keep it coming. Right, let's play this game for a minute, chat. Because somebody posted this into our Discord earlier on, and I wanted you guys to have your go with it. So we're going to ask you for 6 things of the season. So first of all, we're going to ask you for You know what? I'll just run through mine, and that'll give you an indication. So, biggest underachievers this season in the Prem. Who do you think that was? My answer was Man City. The most overachievers this season in the Premier League. Do you know what? Let me just copy and paste this in, because that'll probably make it easier for the chat. The most overachievers this season, I said Liverpool. Because if you think about it, nobody gave us a chance. Nobody gave us a Scooby-Doo. Nobody gave us a hope to get the Premier League. And I certainly include me in that as well. So I say Liverpool are the biggest overachievers. Player of the season, I'm going for Mohamed Salah. Young player of the season, Ryan Gravenberch for me. Goal of the season, I'm going to give it to Omar Marmoush. I thought that was an incredible goal he scored. And save of the season, Emi Martinez versus Nottingham Forest. That was a ridiculous bit of reflexes from the Argentinian number one. So let me get this posted in here, and I will see if it all fits in. No, it's too big. It doesn't all fit in, sorry. So I can't post it for you. But yeah, basically, underachievers of the season, most overachieving team this season, player of the season, young player of the season, goal of the season, and save of the season. Drake said Forest. I think if they had have stayed into the Champions League or even Europa League spots, I would have agreed with you, Drake. But the fall away at the end of it, although still an incredible season, by the way, what Nuno and that team did definitely deserves to be highlighted, because they certainly were talked about as potential relegation candidates and were far from it by the end of the season. So good shout. Do you think we sign a centre-back and a DM, said Abanash. Abanash, my friend, centre-back 100%. But with regards to a DM, I don't know. Angelo Stiller's name's sort of been doing the rounds a bit again lately, but not sure, because, you know, is Stefan going to be fit for pre-season or not after having the hamstring surgery? So a couple of things like that may make the situation a little bit clearer. And you go, if Endo going to be here next season, then, you know, maybe the manager feels he's enough cover there. But I'd like one. I wouldn't mind us bringing one in. Two Tom 4 said 83 away from 325,000 subs. Oh yeah, I honestly hadn't even looked up and paid too much attention to that. Yeah, if you can, help us to get that last, now I think 81 subscribers. Do hit that button. Appreciate your support. And thank you, 2Tom4. Do you think Rafa Leao would join if Diaz goes? No, because I don't think Arne Slot would want them. You know, look at Rafa Leao. He doesn't do enough work off the ball for me to make it at Liverpool. And also, we've seen reports that there's no interest from Liverpool in Leao and there's been no contact. Again, my gut feeling always tells me if we lose Diaz, we're going to end up going for Anthony Gordon. It is just my gut feeling. I don't have inside information on it, but him or Nico Williams would be, if I could pick one myself, I'd take Nico Williams if Diaz goes. But honestly, I want Diaz to stay. I'm in no rush to see Luis Diaz leave the club. If Barcelona can put together the money and he wants to go, well then look, hey, that's a different conversation. But for me, I like Lucho and I like Gakpo. I like the options we have on the left. Eddie, how are you, my friend? Eddie said, do you think the pressure of being Liverpool's number 9 was too much for Darwin? I don't know if it was the pressure of being at our club in particular, but I certainly felt like he got in his own head about it. When you see a player like that trolling social media, you know that they're insecure about one aspect of what is going on in their career, and he certainly seemed to be a very emotional fella. And look, again, I'm an emotional dude myself, so I'm not judging, but I feel like he got in his own head more than anything else, and then kind of got the yips, if you want to call it that. I wouldn't be surprised at all if he went to La Liga or Serie A or somewhere and found, a bit more of a goal streak. LFC Deadpool said, joining late, what have I missed? We were just speaking about some of the conflicting reports around the Wirtz situation and the reasons maybe why they're happening. Speaking a little bit about... here's a comment actually I haven't brought up yet. And this comes from Justin Kluivert. So he was asked about the likelihood of Milos Kerkez joining Liverpool, and he said he'll probably go there. Hope so for him. He hasn't really said goodbye yet, but I hope he'll make it happen there. So again, you can see here that even his teammates are thinking, yeah, Milos Kerkez is coming to Liverpool. Reports today suggest the clubs are still trying to reach a deal on the numbers involved for Milos Kerkez. Again, personal terms won't be an issue, but we have to wait for Liverpool and Bournemouth to agree a fee on that one, and then he will be our next summer signing after Wirtz. Gordon would cost way too much for just being homegrown. Again, mate, I don't know what's too much. You know, you probably spend what you get for Diaz to bring him in, which is probably about 62 million quid. I think 60 million quid will get him at a Newcastle. And if you got that money for Diaz, well, you're not really having to throw a load of dough at the situation. But look, I can only say what I feel, mate. I don't know what Liverpool's position is. And again, will Barcelona come up with the money to sign Luis Diaz? Because I think that's where he wants to go if he does leave Liverpool. And we also do need to keep an eye on the homegrown situation as well. Michael, thank you, bro. Appreciate you. With us as a member for 7 months as well, my man. Appreciate your support. Thank you. Could Nunez finally thrive if Wirtz is feeding him through balls all day, said LFC Deadpool? No. It wasn't that Darwin was lacking in getting chances, mate. You know, he's just lacking in not understanding the offside rule and lacking in being able to not hit the crossbar on the post. Hex said he has the physical attributes, just not the brain to use them. Paro said, I think the reason I think we make a massive signing up front, Craig, is because we now have a world-class creator in Wirtz. We've got phenomenal fullbacks, so we need to complete that puzzle with class. Yeah, look, makes absolute sense, mate. And again, if we look at some of the posts, it's certainly feeling like Liverpool are still looking to make big statements in the window. Simon Jones of the Mail said Liverpool still have designs on improving their forward options and the centre of the fence before the end of the summer window. So I want to ask you guys about Federico Chiesa. So let me just ask you about him. So, do you think Chiesa leaves this window? Because I'm conflicted on this one. Arna said he'll be here. Absolutely, yes. Fabrizio Romano came out and said he was leaning towards a move back to Italy. And the reason I'm bringing this up is, if we lose him, we surely have to replace him. So if we lose Chiesa, in my opinion, we need another utility forward. If we lose Diaz, we need another wide forward. And we already need to sell Darwin to get a centre forward. So for me, Chiesa's got to be a really interesting one, because somebody shit the bed here massively. Somebody made the decision to buy him, and either Arna just didn't like the look of it, because I don't believe the fitness thing all season. I just don't believe that we couldn't have gotten fit to a point where he could have got a run of games. Just felt to me like he was a signing that Arna never really felt like he needed or wanted. So I think I'm really intrigued to see what everybody thinks, if he's going to go or not. Because again, manager says he'll be here. Journalist says looking to move back to Italy. Fabi Rowler said, yes, Craig lad, John's lost his wallet. Whoop, loving the channel, kid. Keep smashing it. Appreciate you, my man. Thank you. Yeah, he has. And ironically, I swear to God, you couldn't make this up. We ordered Brian, LFC USA, a Where's the Money John hoodie in March. And today we got a dispatch notification on it. And ironically, we know the answer to where the money is now, because it's going to Bayer Leverkusen's bank account for Florian Wirtz. And of course, a bit of Cologne as well. So yeah, that was a very weird situation today to see that email come in about that hoodie being dispatched after the man found his wallet. Carl, how are we, dude? 46 months. Look at that for a streak as a member. 46 months. Definitely think that you and Mark have to be up there as the longest ones for me, Carl. Might sound greedy, but I really want a striker, a centre-back, with the signings, we're currently heavily linked with would like Harvey Elliott to stay. I think Harvey's been very sensible about this and looking at it and feeling he needs to get games. Because footballers' careers are short. And it must be really frustrating going in every day, training, working hard, and just not getting the opportunity. So I feel like if you look at his body language at the end of the season and you listen to what he said even since the end of the season, it definitely does feel like Harvey Elliott's going to move on. That's the way I see it. Where he goes, I'm going to be very interested to see, though. Will he make a move to the Bundesliga or abroad, or will he perhaps stay in the Prem and look to move to a club, I don't know, Leeds, Fulham, Newcastle, not sure exactly who, but I do think it's the right move, especially now that Wirtz is coming in, because we've got Wirtz, Jones, Soboslai as attacking midfield options. We've got young players coming through as well behind them, so I think it's the right time. You know, if I'm him and Wirtz coming in, I'm like, nah, that's fucking my chance gone now. The minutes going to be even more limited than they were last season. Hi, Craig. Thanks for being a legend. I'm not anything, mate, but I appreciate you. Would you take Šeško if he fit our system just so Arsenal couldn't, as United closed in on Gyökeres? I do like Šeško. I do. I think if Arsenal sign him, and I've said this a few times, I'm certainly not going to be on here saying that they've messed up. I think he's a very good player. Certainly not the finished article yet, but, you know, at his age, that's totally understandable. I think he's a good player. And honestly, I wouldn't mind Liverpool having had a look at Benjamin Šeško one bit. Yeah, I do. Gyökeres, like I've said, never coming to Liverpool. But it is also astounding that nobody has stuck their money on the table and put it down for him. You know, surely with a lack of top quality available strikers, you would think that Champions League teams would have a look at him and think, all right, well, he can do a job there for us. Barca were linked loosely at one point, but, you know, United seemingly, despite all the layoffs and firing of people and, you know, undercutting of the staff there, they seemingly have money to go out and sign or try to sign him. But also I read somewhere that there's a bit of a fallout between him and Lisbon, at least being reported, because although there's a gentleman's agreement that he can leave for a little bit lower than the Rees clause, apparently they're not living up to that in these contract negotiations or in the negotiations about a move away. Apparently they are asking for the whole amount. Right. Hear me out. Whenever anybody starts with the phrase "hear me out," I get nervous. Hear me out. We need a Dirk Kuyt type player now. Yes, I'm on board, Aryan. I love a hard working. Look, if we could bring in Bobby Firmino 2.0 to play in this team, we would be unstoppable. Imagine it. We've got the anchors in the midfield. Let's just say, for argument's sake, we've got McAllister and Gravenberch there. Ahead, you've got Wirtz. On the right, you've got Mo. On the left, you've got either Gakpo, Diaz, or whomever comes in. And then you've got a very clever, astute number 9 who maybe isn't the most prolific in the world, but will create space and opportunities for Wirtz to come into, for Salah to come into, and chip in with a few. I'd love another Dirk Kuyt, Bobby Firmino-esque hard-working player. Just don't know who that may be at the minute, but I've no doubt that the club's analysts have a list of who fits the bill here. David Sultana, who do you think we sign next? So we're taking it, Wirtz. We're agreement on Wirtz, right? So Frimpong done. Kerkez seems to be the sensible one. For me, it seems like we sign Kerkez and then we start selling players and look at the rest of the market. Centre-back situation needs to be resolved, and, you know, it's been... What's the word I'm going to look for here? Concerning? Is that the right word? I'm certainly a little bit on edge about Konaté's situation because there doesn't seem to be much conversation about an extension for him or progression on it. But maybe journalists are a bit fearful to write anything about it because Konaté came out before and said basically all the stuff that you'd seen about contract negotiations being close in October, November was bullshit. So maybe they're a bit worried about writing anything on it. So, Ben Jacobs said, Chelsea do hold an interest in Hugo Ekitike. This is fresh off the press here, by the way. Chelsea do hold an interest in Hugo Ekitike, but I think it's Liverpool who are really there. Chelsea were never as advanced as people said. Interesting stuff there from Ben Jacobs. Credit transfer sector for that one as well. But yeah, Ekitike. We'll come on to do a poll on him in a minute. Hi, Lord Craig. I forgot I was a Lord. Forgot all about that till you mentioned it, Dave. Yes, I am a Lord. That's how I shall be referred to from here on. Lord of Sealand. Right, looking forward to Cork. You Langer. Well, thank you, my man. Yeah, can't wait for Cork. It's going to be fun. If you want to come and see our last ever live Irish show, you can get your tickets by scanning that QR code on the screen. Cypress Avenue, Cork, 8th of August is going to be our last Irish show. So if you want to come and see us, join Dave there, get your ticket and come along. Eddie said, you see me through the roughest time of my life. Mate, that means so much. It does, because you guys have done that to me as well. You know, I know there are new people in here who've come in, recently, and very welcome. Thank you for coming into our community. But there have been times, mate, as you know yourself, I've been on here not in a great place, mentally not in a good spot, and the chat has put their arms around me, given me a hug, and helped me through difficult times in my life. So whenever I hear somebody like your good self say that maybe we helped them through some difficult times, my response is always, well, you deserve that, because you guys have done the exact same for us. And we'll always, we always try to be here, at least on and consistent. We might not always have lots of stuff to discuss, but I know sometimes just the human interaction is important to come on, part of a routine each night, chat with people. And I hope the things are better for you. That's the most important thing there, Eddie. Carl said it'd be funny if we officially signed Wirtz tomorrow, as it's Coutinho's birthday. How ironic, as we never replaced him since. Some other people are saying that we should announce it at like 12:30, because that's when 66 is being unveiled, apparently, at the Santiago Bernabeu. TLTT2KZ1. Breaking news, I'll agree Craig to officiate mine and my partner's wedding. Date has been moved forward and agreed 21st of May 2027. Nice. Well, I told you I'd do it, and I'm not joking. You want me to officiate that wedding? I'm there. No joke. Just tell me where I need to get my license from, and I will officiate that wedding abso-bloody-lutely. The first Anfield Agenda wedding. You bet your ass I'll officiate it. See, Carl, that's where you went wrong. You were just inviting me to your wedding, mate. Wayne TOTC2KZ1 there, he's asked me to officiate the motherfucker, so you know what I mean? I'll be there, mate. Can't promise you I won't be wearing an Adidas tracksuit, though. Craig, could Wirtz play as a false nine and FSG wait until next season to get Isak for cheaper? Certainly, I would say, mate, all options are on the table at the minute around the centre-forward situation. Will he play as a false nine? I don't know. Could he? Absolutely. So could Szoboszlai. Maybe Mo can come central. I understand it. And I certainly would feel better if Liverpool only got who they really wanted. I don't want us to settle in that position because, we took a punt on Nunez. Understandable punt. I'm not trying to rewrite history, but it didn't work out. So the next one, I think we got to get it right. And if the club feel like they need to wait a bit longer, I think where people will get tetchy, Daniel, is let's say we sold Darwin and didn't bring somebody in. I think that would maybe cause fans to be a little bit concerned by it, because then you have Jota, who's had his own form and injury concerns. Jayden Dance, who's probably going to go out on loan to get much needed match experience. And then, you're struggling after that. So, yeah, wait and see how the chat feel about it. But I don't want us to settle anymore. And I don't feel like we are. It feels like we're not in the mood to settle. It feels like we want the top targets. Eddie, it'll be 8 years ago on Monday that I lost my wife. I can't imagine that pain, my man. I wouldn't be able to go on if I lost Sabrina, my wife, mate. It would, I can't imagine it, but I'm glad you're here with us and sharing in this journey with us, Eddie. So thank you, my friend. And again, sincere condolences for the passing of your wife. I can't imagine that pain, my man. Right. I always find it difficult to segue back through these things, when we're talking about such a sincere situation or such a tough situation to then go, and by the way, let's go back in and check on our poll now. Do you think Chiesa leaves this window was the question that we asked, and we've had nearly 1,600 votes so far. So do keep voting. Kai Hunter said, "Hi." Oh, you've deleted it. I'm just about to read it out. Rakesh said, "Been following you recently and heard people are giving you abuse. Can't understand. You seem like the nicest bloke and you look like you put so much effort into your content. Thank you." Look, I never understand these things, Rakesh. I look at it this way. Do I think everyone's going to like me? Absolutely not. People are free to make up their own mind. But what I don't get is, if you don't like me, why are you here? Why are you watching? Why are you commenting? That's the part of all of this that I've never been able to wrap my head around. If I don't like a TV show, I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to email the TV station telling them I'm angry and how dare they put the show on. So people don't like me, fine, but they seem to be everywhere I turn and know every move I make. So it's a very weird relationship that these guys have with me, some of them that claim to hate me, detest me, and are everywhere. And look, I think I'm a decent fella. I certainly don't come on here and start ripping through people. I try to have fun, be honest, enjoy myself, and create a space where we can all come in and have our say. Right, I want to get this one up to 2,000. Then I want to ask on Hugo Ekitike. So do vote on this one if you can for me, folks. Do you think Chiesa leaves in this window? Any ideas on when the medical will be for Wirtz? So there are some reports, Coleman, and again, I don't know these to be true or not. I just don't know. Some people think he's already in Manchester or has landed in Manchester and is taking part in his medical. I haven't got a clue. I really don't know when we're going to get that information, but I would say, again, keep an eye on, well, stay with us past 10 o'clock, because between 10 and half 10 seems to be the time where we get these nuggets of information with the next day's papers and stuff coming out. So I would say stick with us for the next while, and we may have an answer to that question, but either way, soon. Right, we're nearly at the 2,000 votes, a little bit more to go, so please do keep them coming in. We're here as one caring family. Absolutely, Sean. Like I said, if people don't like me, no problem. Just fuck off and watch somebody else then. You don't need to be in here being toxic and abusive to me or anybody else. It speaks more about them, though. And sincerely, whatever's causing them to be that angry about the world, I hope it changes for them, because it's not a healthy thing to carry around. I know this as somebody who spent many years being an angry person. It's going to be so weird seeing Trent wearing number 12 with name Trent on the back, confirmed by Romano. See? I did say to you, I had a feeling he was going to just put Trent on the back of his shirt. Look, honestly, hand on heart, mate, I don't care what he does anymore. He's not a Liverpool player now. He's the enemy at this point, like anybody else who leaves Liverpool still active in their careers and we might play against. They're the enemy. And I don't mean anything specific hate towards one person. I mean, he's playing for the competition now. So I don't care what happens with him. Don't even want to give him a second thought. Our right backs now are Conor Bradley and Jeremy Frimpong, and they're the boys I'll be behind. Paro said, Craig, what are your thoughts on Calvin Bassey from Fulham for the centre-back role if Kwanzaa leaves as a replacement? So the snobbish me probably would have said no. But I watched Calvin Bassey a little bit at the end of the season, and I watched a few little segments on him, and he's probably underrated, to be fair. Now, I've no idea if Liverpool are interested or not, but I think it's an interesting show. Craig Fotheringham said, who do you drop for Wirtz? It depends on how the manager wants to set up, Craig. Do we play with a false nine like we've seen him do before, where it was Jones and Szoboszlai that were kind of one drops deep, one runs in, one stays up, one drops back. Maybe we see that with Szoboszlai and Wirtz. Maybe he rotates between Wirtz and Szoboszlai for certain games. It depends how the manager wants to set up. Will we see a 4-2-4 or 4-2-2-2? Don't know, but it gives us options, right? I think sometimes we need to just stop thinking in first 11 terms, because we need to make sure we have plan A, B, and C. And if plan A isn't working, then we need tactically to be able to make a tweak. And Wirtz, for me, the most exciting thing about him is the space between the lines, and his counter press is fantastic. Did I see Bray Wanderers against Finn Harps? I didn't, mate. No, I didn't. I didn't catch any football or anything over the last, few hours. Right, do you think Chiesa leaves this window? 70% of the 2,000 people that voted said yes, they do believe that Federico Chiesa leaves. And genuinely, that'll be with a heavy heart for me, because I really like the kid, and I really wanted him to do well. I've never seen an announcement video or a signing day vlog with somebody so happy and just a beaming smile. I thought he was a breath of fresh air, and I think whatever happens with Fede, he's conducted himself magnificently well since he's been at the club. And certainly the fan base wanted to see more minutes of him, and I think he'll leave with all of our best wishes if he does. Ali Martin, welcome to Anfield Agenda FC, and YOLO Prince 999, welcome as well, my friend. Appreciate you in. Right, Ekitike, let's get cracking on this poll. Is Hugo Ekitike good enough to join LFC? So, is Hugo Ekitike good enough to join Liverpool? Yes or no? Very interested to find out your thoughts on this one, because, I've openly admitted all the way through this process, it would be a signing that wouldn't really excite me, but also I wouldn't be the be-all and end-all of information on him, whether he's good enough or not. Transfer most looked forward to, who didn't find form. Harry Kewell. Harry Kewell for me, mate. When we signed him, I was over the moon. Harry Kewell, Naby Keita, certainly two that I thought were going to be huge for us, but for various reasons just didn't work out. So yeah, they'd be my answers anyway. Eddie absolutely didn't bring the mood down, my man. I was just talking about a personal thing. I don't want to be, I don't want to trivialize someone's feelings by going, and now we just move on to, absolutely love that you shared your emotions with me, my man, and I appreciate it. I just didn't want to see disrespectful to you by then switching up the subject so quickly to get back into the chat, but absolutely nothing to apologise for, sir. Right, the poll is running. Sweet, we'll come back to that in a minute. Jari Litmanen and Fernando Morientes, they're good shouts as well. Jari Litmanen was brilliant. Morientes, I was really happy that he came to Liverpool. I was always somebody who liked Fernando Morientes. Alberto Aquilani, LFC Spectre, said, yes, that's a good one. Who do you think Liverpool get on their first game at Anfield in next week's draw? Yeah, so the Premier League fixture is coming out next week. Who do I think we get in the first Anfield game, first home game? I'm going to guess we get... This is for our first home game, so if it's not the first game, don't hold me to it unless the first game is a home game. I'm going to go with... Burnley. Feel like it'll be a newly promoted team for some reason. We got Ipswich, of course, last year. So I'm going to say Burnley. I'm going to think Burnley or Forest are my two guesses. Harry Kewell said, Paolo, what could have been? Yep. 31D3N-ZOOQ said Leeds. That would be a really interesting one. I would very much enjoy playing Leeds early doors. Sunderland, good shout from Aiden as well. Dave Andrews wants Arsenal, or thinks Arsenal. Vinixity, excuse me, mate, if I mispronounced that, said I thought Burnley as well. Thiago for Joseph Purvis on a signing that didn't quite live up to it. Yeah, I get it, but I think for me, when we signed him, mate, I was a little bit more open-minded to the fact that he wasn't going to be playing every single week for us. I did think if we could wrap him up in cotton wool for the Champions League and the big 6 Prem games, I would have been delighted. Salakama, said Everton. Watch us get City, said Lee Brown. Alex Pinder said Man United, please. Ollie Holworth, Ollie, said Sunderland would be ideal. Robbie Keane, said the lad from Ireland. Yeah, that was difficult, but I don't think it was necessarily Robbie Keane's fault. I just don't think Rafa gave him enough opportunities. Kai said, how you doing, bro? I'm alright, my man. I'm alright. Yeah, certainly a lot more relaxed than I was yesterday when pressure was getting to me, man. I was anxious because I hate letting people down and I didn't want people to be disappointed with the situation. So yeah, I'm relieved that we finally got that. Here we go. I deleted the last chat because I messed up in the comment. I think we will see Dom and Wirtz switching between false 9 and 10. Love the channel. Appreciate you, my man. Can certainly happen. Jeffrey Mesa, Stan Collymore. Oh, Collymore had some really good moments at us. If you look back to the game against Newcastle, one of those crazy games, Collymore was good then. Yeah, but maybe he did for the record British transfer, I think it was, or certainly maybe an English transfer record when we signed him. I think Stan Collymore's career was okay. We normally get Bournemouth early. Stan was 8 million, said Dan Taylor. We nearly had him on the channel, by the way. We nearly did a show together, myself and Stan Collymore. I just couldn't get the numbers to add up. But we were speaking with him about being a show, the Craig and Collymore we were looking at one point. And this was only maybe 6 months ago. We were talking, maybe a bit longer than that actually. We were talking about it, but yeah, I just couldn't make the maths add up on it. Push comes to shove. Who would you sell out of Diaz or Gakpo, especially with Barcelona sniffing around Diaz? So, on these type of things, I'd normally go with age. So I would say, who would I sell out of those two? Diaz, because he's older than Gakpo. So yeah, I'll go with Diaz on that one because again, Cody Gakpo has age on his side, and yeah, so I go with Diaz, but would happy keep both of them because, as I said, really like the options we have on the left. Thank you, ES, appreciate you. Invite still stands for New Year's Eve, mate. I'm too boring to be going out anywhere on New Year's Eve, Carl. Honestly, I'm far too boring. My New Year's Eve is usually me, Sabrina, some herbal infusion, and a little bit of Jules Holland's Hootenanny. Bruno Shearu, nice. Do you think Mo wins the Balon d'Or, said Lee? I don't, mate, no, I don't. I think when we went out the Champions League that little bit early, for me, I didn't feel like there was a chance now. I think that was the end of it for me. But it is a weird one, because who is going to win it? There's a lot of great players, but there's nobody I would say I would have thought before this season would go win a Ballon d'Or that's been mentioned for the Ballon d'Or this year. What's this one? So, Football España, via Anything Liverpool, said Chiesa is attracting interest from Spain. Real Betis are considering the winger as a potential alternative to Antony if they fail to secure a permanent deal for the Manchester United player. Interesting. What's this one? Yeah, so there seems to be a bit of chatter tonight that Liverpool are going to make their interest in Hugo Ekitike firm soon enough, based off some of the reports that we're seeing coming in. Right, let me dip back into the chat. Right, I just want to check I've gone through all my notes, by the way. Let me go back to the start. Okay, where were we on this one? That was last night. We've done that one. We've done that one. So if you're joining us a bit late and you're wondering about the Wirtz situation, again, the reason why we're so insistent on sticking with and believing Romano's side of this is because of a couple of things. One, obviously, he's very well connected and he doesn't need to wait for clubs to give him a nod because, well, he doesn't need access to clubs, so he's not really withholding to them. But also, he said that there was an email sent from Leverkusen to Liverpool last night to confirm the intention to accept the terms. And if that was wrong, I would imagine he'd have been called out on it at this point. I'd imagine somebody would have said that email didn't exist or wasn't sent, and nobody has. He also said that internally Liverpool believe they won a crazy race by signing Wirtz because a lot of clubs denying their interest now, but were very, very much interested in signing him. So well done to everybody involved from Liverpool side and getting that deal over the line, because it's well, I say over the line, it hasn't been officially signed yet because he hasn't done his medical and all, but what a statement. What a start to the window we've had. Frimpong, Wirtz, and next Milos Kerkez is a dream, in all honesty. If I could pick three players in each position, I may, Tino Livramento was another one I would have loved at right back, but Frimpong's brilliant along with Bradley, gives us great options. Kerkez is without a doubt the best fit on the left for me, not even close. And Wirtz, well, that's just fairy tale stuff. In all honesty, I'm still pinching myself that that's happening. Florian Wirtz, a potential Balon d'Or winner, that's how good he is coming to Liverpool. And all this copium and this bullshit about Cherky and we overpaid and Cherky, but no, I'm sorry. Cherky's a good footballer, but he's nowhere near the level of Wirtz. We've got the one we wanted. If we wanted Ryan Cherky, he'd be a Liverpool player because he wanted to come. Yes, again, thank you, mate. And again, thank you. Appreciate you. Craig, who do you think will have the best chance of winning the next Ballon d'Or out of Mo or Wirtz? Wirtz, because he's got much more longevity on a chance to win it. So Mo, if he didn't win it this year, next year is probably his last realistic chance to win it. So I'm going to say Wirtz because he still has his career ahead of him, Joel. Good question, though. Carl said, if Gakpo and Diaz went this summer, get a world-class player, who would you get? I know there's no chance of it happening. Nico Williams, for me, is the answer, left wing, if they went. If we're talking about who I think would be the best, him. Yeah, he would be my first choice on the left side. I think he's brilliant. Anthony Gordon, I've spoken about many times. And to go back to the Anthony Gordon thing again, just to kind of reiterate something from earlier on, there was a post from a guy called Geordie Josh, who's obviously a Newcastle fan. And the post said, if Liverpool cash in on Luis Diaz, they could return to the table for Anthony Gordon. While Newcastle want to keep Gordon, there is a feeling in some quarters, excuse me, that a big enough offer may tempt the club to do business. Now, why is this interesting? Well, obviously, post from Newcastle fan, fair enough. But Curtis Jones liked the post. And that I find very interesting. So does he think that maybe we are going to make that move once again for Anthony Gordon? Because it was close. Remember, Gordon was in the England camp last summer telling people that he wanted the move and he thought it was going to happen. So this, could be something and nothing. But, we've been keeping an eye on who's liking what post lately. And Curtis Jones liking Gordon to Liverpool idea. Is there something to it? Let's wait and see. Where are we at? This one. But for what Wirtz, we have Maka and Szoboszlai. I don't know what you mean by but for what Wirtz. I don't know what you mean by that, Rob. Sorry, mate. You were asking where he's going to play? Well, apparently he's been told the number 10 role is his. Justin Kluivert worth a punt, said Julian Evans. I don't think you want to be back knocking on Bournemouth's door again. I mean, I really do feel for Bournemouth fans this summer because you're looking at it and Semenyo is of interest. They've already lost Ian Hoyson. Liverpool are about to sign Milos Kerkez. They've lost Kepa now as well as their... Well, I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing or not, but he's not going to be back there. Certainly going to be tough for them. They're going to have to go out and do some more clever business to bring that club back to the heights that it achieved this season. Petter said, Craig, will you watch the Club World Cup? Yeah, I will. It suits my time frame to watch it late at night, mate. You know, American TV peak time is Craig late night heaven. So yeah, I will watch it. We were trying to discuss who we think is going to win the Club World Cup, and I think it'll come down to probably Real Madrid. PSG are in it, right? Again, I don't know the full list of who's in the Club World Cup, but I assume PSG are in it. So I think Real Madrid or PSG, but Madrid really, 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 really want to win that Club World Cup. Really, really. They want their name on that maiden trophy of this new version of it. And of course, they want the prestige that comes along with it. Bruno's teeth are offside. I don't know what that means. Connor Mullen reckons City. I just don't find City as daunting, mate, as previous seasons. Yeah, I look at Man City's business and I just think they've wasted a lot of money in recent times. Lots of talk as well about Grealish being left out of that City Club World Cup squad. Haaland's form has been kind of up and down a little bit towards the latter part. I don't know. I just think Alonso with that Madrid team, new voice in the dressing room, I think they'll have a shout, but, you know, PSG just won the European Cup, so you'd have to put them in as serious contenders as well. And won the European Cup convincingly, like beat the best England had to offer in Liverpool, Arsenal and Villa. Came through the harder side of the draw and won the final, well, by a landslide, absolutely playing Inter Milan off the park. The fearlessness to which they played this season was impressive to watch. Right, so question is Hugo Ekitike good enough to join Liverpool? So do keep your votes coming in on that one. Jay Cliff said, Craig, if PSG are in, I would love them to stuff Real Madrid for the Club World Cup. Oh yeah, I'd love to see Florentino Perez heartbroken on that one, mate, definitely. Isaiah James said, teams in the Prem have started to figure out how to keep Haaland quiet. LFC Naturalist said, Paris Saint-Germain more likely, Real Madrid not organised as a team, too many divas. Sam said, continue, buy Osimhen, Gordon, Emerson, Diamonde. Do you mean Ederson, mate, instead of Emerson? I presume you're thinking Ederson. I'd love him. You know, I've said last season before we signed, or even after we signed Gravenberch, big fan of Ederson from Atalanta. Craig, check out Osimhen's stats for the last season, off the charts. Yeah, but he was playing in Turkey, to be fair, mate. It's not one of the top 5 leagues in Europe. I don't know of any interest in Victor Osimhen, but then again, I've been honest with you all the way through this. I'm not going to be the one that tells you who the target is at centre forward because I have no information on it. I'm just reading like any other fan, trying to find out who's credible and who isn't, and who's potentially available and who isn't. But we do know he's there to be gotten. He turned down the move to Al Hilal. Galatasaray want to sign him permanently. Will they be able to put the numbers together to make it worth his while? Remains to be seen. But if Liverpool wanted him, it's certainly an achievable deal, you would imagine. VI Jokers said, Liverpool should do a swap deal for Nunez and get Hugo Ekitike in exchange. What do you think? Well, you have to think of the player side of that. Like, I'm sure if you said to Darwin Nunez, where do you want to go? with all due respect, Eintracht Frankfurt isn't going to be at the top of his list. So, he probably wants the likes of Atletico Madrid, maybe over to Napoli. So you can't force a player into a move that they don't want to make. Although Frankfurt are in the Champions League, so maybe a couple of years there to rebuild his career. Nothing's off the table, I guess. But for me, I just want it done and dusted. I just want to close off that chapter for us. Rob said, we already have midfielders. What role does he play? Wirtz, the 10, like we've said. He's been given that assurance when he spoke with Arne Slot. It was outlined to him exactly how Arne sees him being utilised. That 10 role is his. And again, even at the end of the season, we kind of heard some comments from Arne, and I felt they were preparing the ground for Wirtz when he said, Dom going to play on the right side of midfield, where he's a little bit more comfortable. That's what he deems his, preferable position. So, is our midfield going to be sticking to just 3 players, or are we going to have a diamond formation maybe in midfield with 2 attacking midfielders, 2 a bit deeper lying, and then the wide players coming in? Again, good headaches to have though, Rob. Oshiman would be an amazing signing, said Sam Abdos, but I wonder if we would go all out due to him and Salah going to the AFCON. I would see if Watkins is up for grabs from Villa and needs to look at homegrown quota. But for a player who's going to turn 30, I think the amount of money that Villa would probably need to sell Watkins, it would be very unlike Liverpool to be thinking such a short-term thing with a striker. But then again, we do have Jayden Danns coming through, so maybe somebody like Watkins for a few years could buy a bit more time there to put through Jayden Danns. I know Robbie Fowler certainly recently said he loves the idea of Liverpool looking to sign Ollie Watkins. Craig Sissom, said Jones and Gordon are best friends. Yeah, so I suppose no surprise then that he wouldn't mind his mate coming in to join him at Liverpool. Wirtz will be Slot's Coutinho, the roaming number 10, said Rafael Diaz. We need to be patient with Villa, give them one more season, and then we go get Morgan Rogers. I love that, Alejandro. I was quite excited actually when we were linked tentatively with Morgan Rogers, because he certainly had a fantastic season and was in the mix for the Young Player of the Year award as well. Right, let's get to Jack. Jack, thank you, mate. Said Gordon, Milos Kerkez, Hugo Ekitike, and we're defo getting 21. Oh, mate, when we get these 3 sorted out, the 3 that, I said we're definitely getting done, that's a great start. And then, addressing centre-back and striker, if we feel like we've boxed off those 2 positions well and we're all sitting here as excited about those signings as we are about the other 3, yeah, it would take a very bold prediction to think we're not going to be in the mix for the title and for the Champions League. Mark Hamilton, how are you, Mark? And thank you, mate, for your super chat. Said, bold shout, Mateta would bring something up front. He certainly had a stellar season. Big beast. Certainly the ability to score different kinds of goals as well. Did you know what though, Mark? In all honesty, the thing I struggle with most trying to figure out who we'd sign is, I don't know what an Arne Slot striker is. I don't know the attributes that he wants to bring in for Liverpool. We can look at the type of strikers he had, Santiago Jimenez and that at Feyenoord, but, does he want a Mateta type? Does he want a Max Voltmade type, a big strong fella who can, hold the ball up, maybe lay off balls to the likes of Szoboszlai, McAllister, Wirtz, join up attacks? So that's how I struggle to figure it out, mate, because, again, don't know what Arne is actually looking for in that regard, apart from somebody who can put the ball in the net. Schmungus said, when are the lads back playing? So 8th of July is the pre-season start for Liverpool. And let me run through the fixtures for you here now as well, for all of our pre-season games, so I can let you know exactly the dates. Bear with me, bro. 1 second. There's been a lot of stuff in our chat here over the past few days. Where is it? Here we go. So, this is Liverpool's pre-season schedule. July the 13th is our first preseason game against Preston at Deepdale. Then we go to Hong Kong on July 26th to take on AC Milan. July 30th, Liverpool play Yokohama Marinos in Yokohama. And then August the 4th, we've got that double header against Bilbao. 2 games, one at 5 o'clock, one at 8 o'clock. And according to reports in the media yesterday, fans who buy a ticket will be able to watch both games. Lee Brown, how are we, Lee? Said, Craig, how many goals do you think Wirtz will get next season as a prediction? Do you know what, Lee? I haven't given that any thought, mate. It depends if he's a false 9 more than if he's an attacking midfielder. If he could chip in... If he could chip in 10 to 15 in all competitions, I'd be happy with that, with some assists on top of it. If he's being utilised as a false 9, maybe push that up to 15 to 20. Yeah, I never really think about individual numbers when we're talking about Liverpool because, truth be told, I don't give a shit who puts the ball in the net as long as Liverpool get the 3 points or win the game at the end of the 90 minutes. So, yeah, I think anywhere 10 upwards, I think is realistic and achievable, but it depends how he's utilised and how quickly he gets the grips with the speed of the Premier League. Peace said, I'm hoping to see more of Rio. Yeah, I can't pronounce his surname yet, my man. And Stefan Bajcetic. Yeah, the Bajcetic situation is going to be a little bit delayed because he did have surgery on his hamstring, and the Echo reported that it'll be a bit of a race against time to make sure he's fit for pre-season, but fingers crossed he can because I want to see him getting a chance as well. Danny said, Salah in the middle is starting to really excite me. Frimpong on the right. I've long been a fan of the idea of Mohamed Salah going through the middle, mate, but we've not really seen the manager give it much of a shout. Who cares as long as we win? Yeah, that's where I'm at, Mark. As long as Liverpool win, I don't mind if Alisson scores a hat-trick or if Van Dijk scores when Salah scores 2. As long as we win, man, I'm easy. Right, we are over 2,000 votes, but considering we only have about 10 minutes left in tonight's stream, I'm going to leave this poll running. If you haven't had your say yet, we're asking, is Hugo Ekitike good enough to join Liverpool? And also, we're only 34 subscribers away now, so if you can help us out, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do hit that button. It'd be lovely to take over to 325,000 subscribers on this stream with your support. If you haven't joined our WhatsApp as well, you can scan that QR code there on the screen and that will bring you straight to our WhatsApp channel where, of course, we'll update you with, well, everything that we can over the course of the summer's transfer window. But yeah, 34 subscribers. Let's go. Come on. Let's get that there before we finish up. Carl said, 4 preseason games. Who would you pick as boss? What do you mean, who would I pick as boss? Who would I pick for the games? Oh, I don't know, mate. Whoever looks the fittest and sharpest when they come back. Yeah, some players obviously are off on holiday now. Some are off on international duty. So it depends whoever's looking fittest and sharpest when they come back and, you know, what state they're in all honesty. I'd like to look at a lot of the younger players, though. So, you know, I'd like to be looking at, certainly, Georgie Mamardashvili. I'd be given some early minutes to him pre-season to have a look at him. The likes of young Rio, Jayden Danns, if he's fit enough. McConnell, I'd like to look at again. Trey Neone. Yeah, those are the type of players. Maybe even the likes of Trent Alexander-Arnold to see how his progression is. Football Edits Daily said, Isak is a dream, but what about Osimhen? Only 26, very good striker. We might as well at this point. Again, you're not the first, and I dare say you probably won't be the last, mate, to suggest Victor Osimhen. Liverpool, if they wanted to go and get him, certainly a very achievable deal. You know, Napoli more than open to selling him. He turned down the move to Saudi, so I just don't know that it's going to be the case that we're interested. I really do feel like we're not going to see who Liverpool want until we sell Darwin Nunez. I feel like that is when Liverpool will kind of show their hand on who this striker that they're going after is. Like I said, there's been a lot of chatter tonight as well from Ben Jacobs and others about Liverpool really being the club that Hugo Ekitike wants, and certainly Liverpool, according to these reports, are fond of him as well. I mean, teams, if I had the power to pick them. Oh, cool. So 4 games. Oh, okay. Barcelona. Wouldn't mind them in pre-season, Carl. For Bants, I'd love to see us play an MLS team. So let's say Inter Miami, so we could have a little look at Messi again. So Inter Miami, Barcelona. I do like the idea of us playing a localish team in and around Liverpool's region. So let's throw Tranmere in there as well for one of the early games. And then last preseason game, who would I go for? What would be fun to watch? Dortmund, just for the friendship and the camaraderie there. So yeah, Dortmund, Barcelona, Inter Miami, and Tranmere. Let's go with those. Good question though, Carl. I'm sorry I didn't pick up on it the first time, mate. That's just me being dumb. Rusba said, I think it's more likely we play with Wirtz as a false 9 and 2 10s, Dom and Wirtz, rather than with a centre forward. Again, don't know. If we go out, let's just play a hypothetical here, Rusba. And by the way, 25 subscribers to go. Come on. Let's go. Do hit that subscribe button if you can. Just 25 to go. So I think if you see Liverpool go out and sign Isak, as an example, mate, we're not playing with a false 9 then. So it depends how much we spend, how big we go. And also, I'd say it depends on the opposition. Like, we played that weird formation, that false 9 role against City, which they weren't expecting, and worked to a T that day, and scored a great goal from the corner routine as well. Thoughts on City signings, City versus Liverpool race? I think it's a Liverpool-Arsenal title race next season for the very reason that Thomas Tuchel was mentioning. I think Chelsea and Manchester City will have a bit of a hangover, and certainly will have some fatigue from the Club World Cup and the fact that their players won't have had enough of a rest. Their signings, meh. It just feels like they've signed a lot of players who they couldn't get ahead of Liverpool. Like Cherky wanted to come to us, that's no secret. And he went to City because, we told him when we met him that we were going for Wirtz and that, he wasn't the first choice there. Omar Marmoush, I think, is a very good player, like I've said before. Their signings aren't striking fear into me. Like, Aït-Nouri's solid, but again, if we're being honest, was on the Liverpool backup list because Milos Kerkez was our first choice. If they get Livramento at right back, I think that would be a good signing. And Reinders is a good player. That's a solid piece of business. But again, doesn't really scare me. David, lovely to see you, my friend. Always a pleasure to have you in, and thank you. I hope you're having a good day. Right, 20 subscribers to go. Ooh, go on, lads. Keep hitting that subscribe button if you haven't, and thank you to everyone that has so far. Right, we're heading towards 2,500 votes in our poll, which is it's relatively close. So the question is Hugo Ekitike good enough to join Liverpool FC? Alejandro said City don't play Marmoush to his strengths either. Yeah, I really look. I'm no secret of the fact that I would have loved Omar Marmoush at Liverpool. I think he's a brilliant player. I do think they're giving him too much in wages though, at 300 grand a week when he came in there, but really good player. How do I pronounce this gentleman's name? Yonasium said, like the idea of Garassi, Champions League top scorer, only got to the quarters. I think somebody else mentioned him the other day, mate. Don't know too much about him, to be honest with you. Obviously, no, he plays in the Bundesliga and that, but yeah, can't say he's a name I've ever really paid much attention to. Craig, the Jet touchdown in Manchester is apparently the same one Frimpong was on. So, can you fill me in on that, Star Applier? Is this plane just touchdown, or has it been here since earlier on? Because again, the reports earlier on said that the reports coming out of Germany said the medical will either be today or tomorrow. Where was the actual story on this one? Was it this one? Or was it the next one? Where was the story on this one? Also, Bayer Leverkusen have contacted Liverpool, according to Romano, to explore the possibility of signing Kwanzaa. Where was that report? There was a report somewhere that said, I thought I had it in my notes, that said, from Germany anyway, saying that the medical will either be today or tomorrow. So here's another story, by the way, Mark's just reminded me of, that I told you guys about 4 or 5 days ago. Ajax leading the race to sign Jaros on loan from Liverpool. I did mention this to you guys 4 or 5 days ago, that as soon as Johnny Heidinger went in there as their new head coach, the interest in Jaros to go over there on a season loan was looking likely. And I think that could be a good piece of business for him and for us. Jaros obviously needs to continue to play. He's going to fall back in the pecking order again. Obviously, Mamardashvili and Alisson ahead of him. We just signed that new young Hungarian goalkeeper as well. So I think that'll be interesting stuff if Jaros goes over there and hooks up with Johnny Heidinger at Ajax. Another one, by the way, that you got here before most others. I was looking about this earlier on, going through the things that we've gotten right in this window, which is the 3 signings we promised you was going to come in. The fact the media team were waiting for a fourth name, a name we didn't know, but we told you there was going to be another early signing. I didn't know it was going to be the young goalkeeper, but we were told that they were expecting one. We told you that the fee was going to be higher than the £113 million that was being reported. We told you about Jaros, like I've mentioned as well. So far, the few bits of information that we have had haven't all been right, by the way. Certainly there was some early shouts about deal done initially, and I hold my hands up on that one with regards to Wirtz. But yeah, I've never been as happy and relieved as I was last night when we got that "here we go." Craig, do you think the new players at City have pushed Foden on the pecking order? Definitely. And probably pushed Grealish out the door. Right, 12 subscribers left to go. 12 to go, folks. Come on. Can we get there? We are 324,988. Only 12 to go to get us to 325. I know you said there's only 4 signings to be expected, but could see it being more. No. That's not what I meant, mate. Sorry, I probably phrased that wrong. What I said was we were told that the Liverpool's media team were expecting 4 early pieces of work that they had to do. So we knew we were going to be talking about Frimpong, Wirtz and Kerkez. But even the people I spoke to didn't know who the fourth name was going to be. But we were told that they were preparing for 4. Then a couple of days later, we'd seen the situation with the Hungarian goalkeeper. And I didn't know about him at all. But we did know that the club were, and the media team were expecting to do a 4th set of, media duties and videos and stuff like that. But we will make more than 4 signings in this window. My guess will be 5 or 6. Lee Brown said, the Wirtz deal went so quiet, then we got the here we go. Kerkez deal has been a wee bit quiet now. Makes me think it's going to be the same outcome. Certainly, it's not going to be far away. I don't know of an agreement on fee between Liverpool and Bournemouth, but player only wants us. The outlines of his contract and the length of it and all have been agreed with him. And Liverpool and Bournemouth need to hash out a fee that Bournemouth are happy with, and then we'll see him do his medical as well. I'd rip Leverkusen off for Kwanzaa now. Definitely a 45 million defender by today's standards, Alejandro. Yeah, they'd have to smash their own club transfer record to sign him. I think the record sits at about 26 million, something like that at the minute. Right, where are we at? 8 subscribers. 7 subscribers to go. Come on. Right, we'll end this poll as well. We asked, is Hugo Ekitike good enough to join Liverpool? It's not a landslide, but 59% of the people that voted said that yes, they do think he is good enough to come to Liverpool Football Club. Jay's Mighty Red Army, thank you, mate, for gifting 5 Anfield Agenda memberships as well. Absolute legend, bro. Appreciate you. And if that doesn't make you want to subscribe, then come on. Jay out there showing the love.
walked in as you were saying 8 subscribers, but I thought you said I hate subscribers.
Can you sort out the dog? Thanks.
There you go.
Best worst game of the 24-25 season. Beating Madrid, probably up there as the best for us. Worst, it'd be easy to say the Forest game, but the draw with United frustrated me a lot, so I'll say that. Corbin said, if we get a striker and a centre-back and Kerkez, treble. I don't know, mate. I don't know about a treble. I just want one of the big ones. One of the big ones, and I'll be more than happy next season. Yeah, I'd love to go back-to-back, because I've never seen us do that as an adult. So yeah, back-to-back would be incredible. But a Champions League I wouldn't say no to that either. Craig, for such a massive transfer, do you think this was all sorted out weeks ago? No. I do think that once the player made his decision that it was Liverpool he was coming to, I don't think there was any going back at that point. You know, everybody else had lost the race, and it was between Liverpool and Leverkusen to hash it out. So, yeah, I think once he made that decision, the rest was going to fall into place. Right, ladies and gentlemen, appreciate you. We've just crept over the line on 3:25. You're all absolute legends, but do keep hitting that button. Before I say goodnight to you all, again, a reminder, if you'd like to join our WhatsApp community, scan that QR code on the screen there, and you can join, and we'll give you the very latest updates, and of course a little bit of fun and some shit dad jokes as well, by the way. Appreciate anybody who's joined up so far. Last count, we were heading towards 4,000 in that WhatsApp community. Darryl said, Craig, it's taken my sub away. That's all right, my man. We'll be there or thereabouts. And look, appreciate you all. We're going to do a roundup video now because I want to give you more information on the Hugo Ekitike developing story. So, as always, keep an eye out over the next 20-25 minutes for the latest updates on a few of those breaking and developing stories. So again, appreciate your support again tonight. If you can, hit that subscribe button, drop a like before you head off, and I will see you guys same time, same place tomorrow. Much love. Bye-bye.